Tipped in the air and knocked away. KU's got to win it. Blah, big time two-hand slam by Hunter Dickinson.
Kansas is the 2023 WNIT champions.
This is the Jayhawker Podcast, presented by the University of Kansas Health System.
Welcome back to another edition of the Jayhawker Podcast. I am Greg Gurley along with Wayne Simeon. We are joined by the governor, the mayor, the guru, the voice of the Big 12 Conference. Fran Fraschilla has become a great friend over the years and has worked Bill's fantasy camp. He's in Allen Fieldhouse 10 times a year to the delight and the dismay of some of our fans.
Most to the delight.
I get so many people that come up to me like, that Fran Fraschilla doesn't know what he's talking about.
You know the secret?
I want to hear it.
I learned this from Bill Self. I told him years ago, listen, I love Kansas basketball. You know, I'm a junkie. So I love Allen Fieldhouse. I love the crowd. I love fan support. But I'm the voice of the Big 12. Correct. And there were, until this year, 9 other schools.
Yes.
And the reason that I'm reasonably popular in Ames, Waco, Lubbock, some other places is because it's not just all about Kansas.
Correct.
And here's the cool thing. The league has gotten so good because of Kansas, because of the competition. Baylor gets good, Texas Tech gets good.
Yeah.
I think it's been unbelievable for Kansas that this is the most promoted league of any league on ESPN. And it makes Kansas better.
Rightfully so.
Well, and I think that's why some Kansas fans think that every single night I've got to be
And you know, you and I give each other a lot of grief. We see each other all the time, which is fun, which I love.
Not hard.
Which I love, but I know you may not believe this, but I defend you all the time because our fan base is like, well, they want you to be a homer because our fans are crazy, just like all fans. They want only good things to come out. But what I appreciate about you is that you tell it like it is. You know, last night, earlier this week, you were in Austin, Texas. It was a great game.
Yeah, last night.
Overtime game. You had Texas and Houston, and we're going to see Houston coming up at the end of this week, and you'll be here for that. Again, Jayhawker Podcast, Fran Fraschilla, Xfinity, University of Kansas Health System, and Black and Veatch welcomes you. Appreciate your time.
Glad to be here.
Let's just get
a State of the Union. State of the Union for the league.
Go first with last night's game because I watched from start to finish. It was a great basketball game, great atmosphere. I tell you what, not taking anything away from Texas, but man, Houston's got some dudes.
You know what's fun about Houston being in the league? First of all, we all know Kelvin Sampson. You guys know him. He knows especially, and you do too because you played against those teams.
I didn't play much.
But you might have been on the last. Were you on that team that Terry Evans came in here? Was the last time OU won?
Yeah, it was 1993.
Yeah, exactly.
I was
Terry
part
Evans,
of a loser.
That's one of the rare times you lost.
Right.
But I think the beauty of Houston, guys, is Texas is leaving, OU's leaving. We miss them. We miss the old Big 8, but things change. And to have Kelvin Sampson and Houston in the Big 12, to go head-to-head with KU and Baylor and soon to be Arizona and Iowa State, I just think it's phenomenal. You guys know this because you know Kelvin. They play so hard. Mm-hmm. And I can't wait till Saturday because I expect Kansas, quite frankly, to be coming off a win at home this week and then playing them Saturday. Houston in here is going to be electric, which, no, it's not unusual in this building in February because there's so many big games in February. But for Houston and Kelvin to be where they are and what he means to the league, I think is phenomenal.
And I just traditional Kelvin, and you respect your opponent. Right. As we like to say, game recognized game. Yes. And one of the things that I appreciate about Kelvin Sampson, even though he had a lengthy hiatus away from the Big 12, his return is true to who he's always been.
Yes,
toughness, hard, gritty guy. As a matter of fact, I got a chance to hug one of my favorite former Boomer Sooners, Ryan Humphreys. And I remember growing up watching Eduardo Najera, Ryan Humphreys, these power forwards, big, broad shoulders that were just hardcore rocking guys. And we were texting last night during the game, and that was one of the things that we saw. And guess what? Bill loves to coach against guys like that because he embodies toughness in those categories.
I've talked to you. You're so right, Wayne. When Texas Tech got good under Beard and now they're good again, and Scott Drew, we've watched when people said Scott Drew couldn't coach, and now all of a sudden he's won a national championship. And Bill has told me on a number of occasions, we've made those programs better because we're Kansas. because you have to try to fight. They're the bully on the block, and I don't mean that Kansas fans, and it's figurative.
You're right.
And they've made Kansas better.
For sure.
And I've talked to Bill about it. Every time you play Kansas, you better bring your A game. And Kelvin said it at practice the other day. He said, guys, he was talking about Texas. He goes, you realize because of our reputation, you're going to get their best shot. You guys have lived that your whole lives here at KU. Because of the Kansas tradition, everybody plays their best game against Kansas, or at least tries to. So Kelvin in the league is phenomenal.
Well, look at the last 2 or 3 weeks for us.
Yeah.
And you've seen this league all over the place. We looked at our schedule at UCF.
Yeah.
At West Virginia, 6-11, we went in there. Yeah. Iowa State was the one just the other day that wasn't a surprise because that's one of the most difficult buildings to play in the country. But as you look around this league, and you just said it, Kansas gets everybody's best shot.
Yeah.
West Virginia was shooting 20% from a three-point line and made everything against us. Some of that has to do with the way we defend now because of our limited bench and our inability to take more chances because if Kevin McCullough's not on the floor or if KJ's not on the floor, we suffer.
Right.
But still teams are shooting unbelievable.
Iowa State.
That also goes to show you, like, we think it was just a gimme to go to Central Florida and win.
Right.
Next week, what do? They go on the road and win.
Yeah.
Now West Virginia's struggled. That's a whole nother issue. Yeah. But just talk about the league, talk about Kansas. And as a former coach, this guy coached at a lot of big time places. So he's been everyone of a certain age only knows you as a broadcaster.
Right. A bad one. Some people. Yeah.
But you've been around this game a long time.
I love the game. I'm around the game every single day. I mean, literally, I got 2 sons coaching, I'm doing a lot of stuff away from the season, ESPN season. So I'm around the game every single day. Like, this is my, it's my love, right? Other than my family, my faith.
How many games will you do in a year?
Roughly 50, which is at least 2 a week. And this week it's 3. And, if you go on a 7-day period, this week it's 4 games in 7 days. Right. And then I'm doing other stuff. I'll tell you about later, going to the Olympics with 3-on-3. We qualify. We qualify for Paris with Jimmer Fredette. You guys remember Jimmer? But to get to your point, I've said this. I don't think the league at the top is as strong as it's been in the past. And primarily because KU is not the dominant team this year, right? Okay, but and there's other teams at the top that are pretty good, Wayne. But what's made this league incredible again, and it will be the best league in the country as it has been for the last decade, is, and I think you guys might agree, from 1 to 14, I've never seen anything like this. When you talk about UCF and West Virginia and knowing how, I'll give you an example. Last night I saw Texas play. They're in danger of not going to the NCAA tournament, and they're a legitimate Sweet 16 team.
Right.
And that's how good this league is, that they're going to be scrambling to get a bid. And yet, we all know on paper, on a given night, they can beat anybody in the country, including Purdue, UConn. And so I think, I think the league is, I don't want to say rebuilding, reloading. KU is going to probably keep a lot of these guys. They're going to get some great transfers. They got good freshmen coming in. Everybody's recruiting well. I think I checked 5 of the top 17 high school recruiting classes are in the Big 12. And this has been a transfer league from the get-go. So there's going to be really good transfers coming to this league. The league's going to keep getting better. But this year, what makes it so good is that from 1 to 14, it's never been this balanced.
And I think the path for Kansas to win the Big 12 has been what? Sweep the teams you're supposed to sweep. There were always, I wouldn't call them gimmies, but there aren't any gimmies anymore. We went through the first 6 games of our schedule, and that was our easiest third of the schedule.
The road trips. Looked like they were going to be
Orlando, Morgantown, and then Stillwater.
Yeah.
We went in Stillwater. We dropped the other 2. So we've had our bogeys. We got to start birdieing. But this isn't just about us. It is the Jayhawker Podcast. But I think the league with the new makeup, if you look at the way the unbalanced schedule came about, we get Houston twice.
Yeah.
We get Baylor twice. We get all the top tier teams twice. And the so-called bottom tier, we might just get on the road.
That's the only negative of, there's some negatives to realignment. You guys, I'm a traditionalist. I miss the old Big 8 and then the Big 12 and, Johnny Orr and Norm Stewart and, guys like that. And so I get realignment, but what really hurts is the lack of the double round robin. because I know Bill even puts so much emphasis on a regular season Big 12 championship because it's a true champion. You play everybody twice. Now, I haven't even looked at the February schedule because Texas Tech, for example, is alone at the top. But nothing matters until I look at their schedule and figure out who they're playing and where they're playing in February.
Exactly.
But in the old days, a year ago, you could say, well, Tech still got to go to KU. They're going to get KU coming to their place. You got those double round robins that are going to be missing.
Yeah. And even to add to that, there was a time in the league where you could look and say, hey, we're going to be at Stillwater this year. Next year, we'll get him at home. Well, there's really no scheduling matrix now. You're not even really sure who's going to be the home and away there.
You played in the North-South.
Yeah.
So you see now, this is more similar to the North-South than what we saw once he got done playing and we got to the 10 teams.
Which maybe we'll get back to with the additions.
And we don't really know
about what it is. We don't know. No. We don't know. And so you can't say, hey, well, we'll get Iowa State next year because we'll have them at home this year. You don't really know that.
And you can't really do East-West because it's going to be all the West or all the new ones.
It's going to, you know what? I trust we got to give Brett Yormark a lot of credit.
Oh, crushing it. Yeah.
He saved the league. I think football is going to be pretty good. I really do. When you look at what KU, K-State are doing with their great coaches, other great coaches in the league, I'm glad. But I know this. Basketball is not getting worse. It's getting better.
And I think he saved it I think the Big 12 was saved when we got Cincinnati, Houston, Central Florida, and BYU. And then that kept it all together.
Yep.
I think some people looked at it as like, I don't know, Central Florida. Houston, perennial one seed in the tournament. But I think that propelled us to where we are now.
BYU, 19,000. Like, KU's not going there this year. Baylor is. Houston just went and scraped by.
Right.
And everybody, I've been there. I coached at New Mexico, and so I know what it's like going into Provo. Some people got mad when I said this. I said, I hate BYU, man. And they go, why do you hate BYU? I go, because they play hard. They're older. They're mature. They go on the Mormon mission. They return. They're 24 years old. They're a little dirty, cheap shot. And then after kind of like you played,
Right.
And then, but after the game, they come up to you and they go, hey, coach, good game, man. You guys play so hard. We love playing against New Mexico. I'm like, get out of here. But in all seriousness, I don't hate BYU. They're great people, but they have a great tradition, and I think they're going to add to what we've already got.
Yeah, well, I tell you, I really like the league and where it's at. You can think about the way we've seen in the past where maybe you've had 3 teams top heavy.
Right.
We talked about at times, 03, Kansas, Texas, OU, both top 5 the entirety of the year. Yeah. But now we've got full 14. Like, I'm excited just thinking about the Big 12 tournament. Like, I can't channel surf midweek, even when Kansas isn't playing, and I can't surf by, a BYU, Houston. I have to tap in. The Big 12 tournament in March, I'm frothing at the mouth. Yeah. I'm going to be tapping in Tuesday, Wednesday games, to be able to see, hey, what's building, who's going to get upset. I'd be hard-pressed to believe that there won't be as much parity in the Big 12 tournament as we see the first weekend of March.
Wayne, you know who doesn't like the Big 12 tournament? Coaches, and I say that half jokingly, because if you're going to win the Big 12 tournament, now granted the top teams are going to get the buys, but we all know, and I've talked to Bill about this, I'm sure you guys have, if you gave him truth serum, if he has a regular season title in his back pocket, he'll want to win the Big 12 tournament because he's a competitor, right? You know that as well as we do, but man, then you got to play Thursday in the NCAA tournament.
And he said that, he goes, hey, if we're here, we might as well try to win it.
Exactly.
To your point. Exactly. And, and if a team happens to win it by playing on Tuesday, think about that stretch. Now, they will have earned their way into the NCAA tournament.
Sure.
Playing They deserve it more than anybody, but it's going to be crazy. Yeah, You're going to live at the President Hotel for about a week or so.
You know what? Free breakfast. Hilton points.
That's right.
Get over to Q39 a couple times. No.
Hey, I'll give you Q39's coming to Lawrence.
Oh, I cannot believe that. My crew, my ESPN crew is going to be ecstatic.
There you go.
Where are they putting it,
Where are they putting it?
It's downtown by where the old Lawrence Journal World used to be.
Okay.
Downtown, off Mass.
No, I'm looking forward to that. But that Big 12 tournament, when I was growing up, the ACC tournament and then the Big East tournament were unbelievable. Right? And I coached at Providence with Rick Barnes, head coach at St. John's. Madison Square Garden is amazing. But the Big 12 tournament is second to none because of the Power and Light District, the fan support. Last one out of Ames, turn out the lights.
Yeah.
Well,
as a couple of Kansas City guys.
Yeah.
That's why you want to see Iowa State go deep into the weekend, because their fans come and change everything.
KU fans are coming, we know that, but to see like an Iowa State or a K-State.
Well, you're exactly right about downtown Kansas City. We didn't go downtown. We went to Kemper.
Right,
but no one really went downtown. But the way they built the T-Mobile Center and the power and light, it's unique to where there's no, like, taking it to Dallas or taking it to Oklahoma City. It just wasn't the same.
We tried that.
And the great part is that our commissioners and all of the brass of the Big 12 realized that, okay, we tried. It's just not the same. Kansas City should be it for life.
I love Kemper. You guys, did you play in Kemper? Yeah. I mean, Kemper is historic, right? You guys know. You guys lived it. You played it. And I remember being a young coach or even a fan, the Big 8 tournament, Kemper Arena, so much history there. But then when they built the new arena, Sprint and now T-Mobile, it's amazing. The atmosphere is incredible.
You scroll, tap, swipe, text, call, and do a lot more on your phone. None of us can fathom life without all the world's knowledge in our pocket. We use phones for just about everything. But when it comes to doing the bigger things, like streaming, gaming, and working, you shouldn't be limited to just your phone screen or mobile plan. You see, millions of Americans don't have home internet. They're forced to do everything on their phone or through their mobile service via a hotspot. Or they go to public spaces and use unsecure Wi-Fi, which can be problematic when dealing with personal or sensitive information. You deserve reliable home internet to fit your life and your budget. And right now, Internet Essentials Plus from Xfinity is free through the Affordable Connectivity Program. Get unlimited data and equipment included with no annual contract. Go to Xfinity.com/free to see if you qualify. Restrictions apply. After program participation ends, Comcast standard charges, taxes, and fees apply. May not be combined with other offers.
So we've covered a lot of the Big 12. I want you to kind of break down our team.
Yes.
We see it every day. You see it a lot.
Yep.
Not a traditional Bill Self team that has the 12, 13 guys that where he plays 8 or 9. We're playing basically 5 guys.
I got good news.
Let's hear it.
I got good news.
We need some.
Well, it's good news, bad news. Okay. The good news is you found a 5th starter.
That's correct.
Right? I mean, he's good. I mean, I think Johnny Furphy's going to be a star. The last 5 games, not only his athleticism, what I think he's brought to this starting 5 is high energy.
Yeah.
Great offensive rebounder.
Great rebounder.
Runs the floor well.
Runs like a deer and gets
for the
paid
ball.
off, has a nose for the ball. That's the good news. Bad news is when you put him in a starting lineup, your bench got a little weaker.
True.
And that's the tough part. And people have asked me about that regarding this team. And if you look at it, you have 2 All-Americans. You have 2 other guys who were contributors on a national champion. And then you've got this freshman who I think is going to be really good and probably has NBA potential, right, at some point. And now the tough part. And I think when you get to March, you get to the NCAA tournament and they're a high seed, you're going to be playing a Saturday, a Thursday, Saturday, Friday, Sunday. We get the day off in between and 5 more days to rest going into the round of 16 and Elite 8. So I don't think the depth's as big a deal then, but it's a big deal in February. It's a real big deal if there's an injury.
Break down Hunter Dickinson for everybody.
Okay.
We end up Saturday, we lose at Iowa State. And you look at the box score, 20 points, 15 rebounds. But if you watch that game, did Hunter just stand out to you? Is he any different here than he was at Michigan? But he's putting up numbers.
I would say, Greg, I think he's having a great year.
Correct.
You know what I mean? Like, the guy just makes shots. He quietly kills you. You don't know that he's got 22 and 13 until you look at the end of the game. And I think he's very efficient. I know Bill wishes he was a little better defensively and moved his feet a little better on the perimeter. I've been pleased from a fan standpoint at how good he's having an All-American year.
Right.
Now, I would say this, and I'm going to put this in your little ear here, Jayhawk fans. He should come back next year. He really should. Wayne, you played in the league, and the league's changing with big guys. And I'm not saying he can't play in the league. He probably eventually will. He's not quite Ostertag, but Ostertag, if he were coming out today, he would be lost.
No, and I
name
100%
a
agree with you,
comparable to Greg Ostertag in the NBA right now.
It's hard. There's not many. There's not many.
Yeah, no.
But I think he should come back just because he's going to wish he played in college.
Yeah, for sure. Because, I mean, the way that they evaluate him now, and I've actually, we used to have NBA scouts and guys coming through here, guys that were former teammates, guys that I played against.
Yeah.
If it were about points and rebounds for Hunter, he would be gone because he's put up these type of numbers for 3 years, even at other schools. It's about winning. And we actually need him to be not just good, but dominant, especially when you consider some of the woes of our bench as well. But when I think about dominant categories, I think about and ones, dunks, rebounding outside your area, protecting the rim, being an enforcer. And I don't think those are things we've quite seen Hunter do consistently yet that establish his dominance, but
we're
gosh,
bored.
it's tough.
We're bored with how efficient those jump hooks
Oh, my God.
are.
So
We're
efficient.
bored. Right?
Yeah.
When he shoots a jump hook or a 14-footer, you expect it to go in, and you're almost bored by that. But I think you're right. I think he could take it one more level intensity-wise, and I think playing for Bill could help him. But, hey, I don't begrudge him a chance to go to the NBA if he does. But if he comes back with, I think KJ will be back, Dewan will be back.
Great freshman class.
Great freshman class. Furphy's going to be really good. El Marco.
And then again, this day at college basketball,
We're going to peel off
two
best transfer in the country,
You're going to
hopefully.
get 2 or 3 transfers.
I don't know any of them right now.
You're going to get 2 or 3.
But there's going to be, and we were talking about, Hunter in the NBA and whether it's Greg Ostertag.
Yeah.
All you got to do is look at last year. 3 great big men, Oscar Shibwe, Sonogo from Connecticut, and Drew Timoney.
And
he's more of a hybrid.
Oscar's been in a couple of Pacer games.
But not drafted.
No.
And those are 3 of the best big guys in the country. And Hunter is right there
with
in that discussion.
Yeah. So, I've been pleased with the year he's had. I think Kevin's had obviously a great year. I said this the other night on TV. If Houston wins the league at this point in time, I think Jamal Shed, Player of the Year. If Kansas wins the league, then I think you got a tough choice because it's going to either be Kevin or Hunter.
Well, tell us about the evolution of Kevin McCullough because you've seen him in his maturation process at 2 schools and even here. When you saw him at Texas Tech, not knowing that he would transfer, did you ever think that he would have an All-American type season, potential Big 12 Player of the Year type season? Because I'll be the first to say, in remembering him back at Texas Tech, thought he was a great player, sound, great glue guy, but I never thought he would grow into the leader and with the type of output that he has.
Keep in mind that the year they went to the Final Four, he broke his leg in high school. That year, he was a senior. So he transferred to Lubbock into Texas Tech in the mid-year. So the year they went to the Final Four, which I think was 19, he was a redshirt freshman with a broken leg. So that's how his career started. Then he got healthy, and my first reaction was, he's going to be a good defensive player. Yeah. And he plays hard. Great family, the whole deal. And then he got a little better, and then he came here last year and obviously had a good, solid year. And then the magic of Bill Self, you guys have seen it with Frank, with Devontae, most recently with Ochai. And you have a guy here, I'm not going to tell you his name. He's an NBA scout. And I said to him 3 years ago, what do you think of your team? He goes, we got a really good Kansas City AAU team. And those guys won a national title. But why? Because Bill Self gets the most out of those guys. Last year it was Jalen's turn to be the All-American. Kevin sees what Jalen did. Jalen saw what Ochai and Christian did. And Kevin took it upon himself to put the work in and then say, I got the shoulders big enough to take big shots. Not every guy wants that. Yeah. I think Frank wanted that pressure. Devontae wanted that pressure. I mean, Ochai's senior year, it's as good a senior year as I can remember in 20 years, right? Same thing with Christian. Jalen last year, and now this year it's Kevin. And why? Because Bill anoints you and says, if your shoulders are big enough, we're going to put the ball in your hands.
Well, he's been able to, he uses the term get old and stay old, which got us a national championship, right? We had a lot of veterans, and that's easier said than done in this day and age because guys don't want to be patient. They don't want to wait their turn. Yeah. But Bill's a master motivator and a guy that can convince that, hey, we say this term all the time, the pie's big enough for everybody to have a slice. Yeah. He convinces people to do it, and then he has proof.
He has proof. Yeah, every year.
22 national championship team. That's all the proof you need.
He's, I've said this before, Bill, if you want to say he's the best coach in the country, I'm not going to argue. I see a lot of great coaches, and Bill has aside from being first of all, he doesn't want you to know how smart a coach he is. Right. Like he doesn't want to come across as the X and O genius, even though we know coming out of every timeout, doesn't matter how many times you know the zone is coming, you're getting lobbed on. Okay. And so he's a great coach there. He's a great teacher of the game. But I think the ability to reach young people and get them to do what they probably don't really want to do. And he has a way, because you kind of lived it, of like tearing you down. And, you know, the worst 4-letter word in Bill's vocabulary is
soft.
Soft. You're so soft. But then what's the other 4-letter word? Stud.
Yeah.
You're a stud.
But like you said, he can bring somebody down and then
build them up.
And they're hugging them and they walk out of the tunnel at the end of practice.
And they're crying at senior night. I love you, coach. You breathe fire on me all of February, but I love you.
When you play for Bill, you understand that criticism is really coaching.
Right.
You know, that's what it is. It's coaching. And I think he's even mellowed a little bit from what I've...
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Hey, how about this, though?
Yeah.
So we're at the end of January.
Yeah.
KU sitting middle of the pack in the Big 12. What are we, 4-3 right now?
4-3, yep.
But it's interesting. No one's panicking.
Right.
And, you know, it's because of the guy in the head chair. Now, I'm not saying we shouldn't be concerned.
We have a 20-year sample
We
size.
shouldn't know that we, you know, we've got more work to do. But it's amazing that we're at now. I'm not panicking because we've seen it before where there's something about, you know, we have a tough little stretch in January historically, had it in 22, had it multiple years.
Three in a row last year.
3 in a row last year.
In this league, that's not uncommon.
And then something about the month of February where it just kicks in, and I know that's the expectation for a lot of us here. But what is it about that I think that you've seen with Kansas?
Well, first of all, when you come to Kansas, it's not about playing great in November and December. You know this. I'm preaching to the choir. So I think the expectation is that we have a great coach, and we're going to get better in February. We're going to get even better in March. And then we're going to let the chips fall where they may in the NCAA tournament. And we know the NCAA tournament is a crapshoot because when you get to the NCAA tournament, there are no bad teams. You know, you might have teams from smaller leagues, but there are no bad teams. And what I think Bill has always done, because of the expectation of Kansas, the tradition, the history, is that it's about when you play well in March here, you're remembered forever. I mean, that's how it is. You know, I mean, that team that won it in 22, what were they down, 15 at the half or more? 15? I mean, and the first 5 minutes of the second half, like the lead that evaporated.
8 minutes.
Yeah. And so Christian Brown and Ochai particularly, and the other guys, David McCormick, remember fans?
Yeah.
Remember how
Remy, same thing. Remy.
Remy. I was at fantasy camp when Remy was here, and I'm telling you,
no one saw it. We're like, hey.
Here's what I would tell you about Remy, okay? And he doesn't know me that well. He probably still wouldn't recognize me, okay? When I met Remy here, there's 3 kinds of players, okay? There's 3 kinds of players. Group 1, those that know, very few, okay? By the end of Devontae's career, he was Group 1. He had figured it out, right? Group 2 is those that don't know. That's why we coach. When you come to Kansas and play for Bill, you don't know squat, okay? And then he puts it in your head. The worst kind of player is Group 3. Those that don't know, they don't know. Because they think they know, and they don't want to be coached. Yeah. I thought Remy, the first part of that year he was here, he was in Group 3.
Fair.
Okay, and then he got to Group 2. At some point, like later in the year, took him a while.
Late.
And then, for about 2 weeks, he was Group 1. He figured out what Kansas was about. He always had the, what's the word? I got to say it. The onions. Can I say that?
The moxie.
The moxie. The moxie. Thank you very much.
Stones.
Let's go, moxie. It's moxie for you. We know what it is for you. But he finally came around to where he had no fear anyway. And he played like it, and he played Bill Self basketball.
He wasn't thinking. So you've been around a long time. You know ball better than anybody in the coaching world and the broadcasting world. If you were coaching now with everything that's going on, the transfer portal, NIL, how do you think you would embrace it? You can't really run from it because if you run from it, you're left behind.
You have to embrace it.
What do you, in talking to all these coaches, what's the overwhelming common theme to the way it is now?
It's your junior college coach. You're coaching, you know, it used to be, and maybe there's just still a few programs that can do this, but not many. We used to talk about building a program, right? When you think of Kansas, you think about the program, the history, all the players, waiting your turn, growing up in the program. And it's not that way anymore. Right now it's year to year. And as a coach at this level, you're really I used to say the number one job description of a college basketball coach was crisis management coordinator, because you're dealing with crisis, losing streaks, someone getting hurt, someone's not playing, family's upset with you, whatever, crisis. That's what you're paid for, handle crisis. Now you are a roster management coordinator.
GM.
You're a GM. You got to figure out how to put the best team together. And by the way, it's not easy just going in the portal and thinking you could take 3 or 4 good players, because chemistry is important.
Yeah.
I see teams right now, Arkansas is struggling. They were doing great with the portal, and apparently this year they don't have the right mix, and it shows on the court. So I think that's the hardest part. But I saw this coming 3 years ago, and I told my coaching friends, this is the new normal. Like, we're never going back to the old days. You guys don't remember this, but there was a time that freshmen were ineligible. Right. You played freshman ball, right? You guys were lucky you didn't have to do that. Well, that changed the landscape, right? Now you got this. This is changing the landscape, realignment and the transfer portal. College coaches now have to embrace this. If you don't embrace it, you're going to be out. You're going to be doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And, I think what kind of hurts is high school players.
Definitely.
Because when you're looking at I guarantee you coaching staffs are going to lunch saying, okay, this kid's in Plano or this kid's in Cleveland. We're not quite sure that he's good enough. Do we want to invest a ton of time, resources, money, whatever?
Or should we wait till the transfer portal opens
in April? Or should we wait till April? And
or the high school kids got to go be Conference Player of the Year of the Missouri Valley and shoot 40% from the three.
Yes.
It's like a minor league system.
And Wayne, you're exactly right. I think that's the new normal. In other words, and even the kid that does go to Kansas, that top 75 guy, that all of a sudden he's like, damn, I don't think I'm ever going to play here. You had a couple guys here this summer that were here quickly and they disappeared. Right?
Well, one of the sad things about it is last week,
they
had the announcement of the McDonald's High School All-Americans. I remember that used to be the pinnacle of the recruiting calendar.
Were you a McDonald's All-American?
Yes.
Is that why you brought it up?
No. Well, no. I did bring it up. No. I did bring it up. Hold on. No. Let me finish.
Hey, everyone. Wayne Simeon was a McDonald's All-American.
We knew that.
Seabass. Yeah. Seabass.
We already knew that. We already knew that.
But the unique thing about it is that it wasn't a big newsworthy event last week. No. Why? Because the pinnacle of the recruiting attention now doesn't happen in January when that's announced, which it used to be, but it's going to happen in April once the season's over with and whose names are in the portal. And it's, so we're talking new normal, which is what I was getting at, not little self-promotion. Yeah. Like, it's completely flipped that upside down.
Sensitive?
No, you see how I flipped it back on him.
But you're allowed to self-promote, because he doesn't self-promote. So when he does self-promote, it's a point.
Okay, I got to do verbal jujitsu with this guy all day long.
It's a pretty cocky self-promotion.
Well, listen, I tell people all the time, these Kansas fans, some of them that don't like me, I think there's probably only 5 or 10 of them. But,
5 or 10,000.
I tell them, I say, if you want me to be a homer, get rid of that bum girl. And I'll come in and I'll work with
I'm on the Jayhawk radio network. I can be a homer. You can't.
Can I tell you a funny story? I'm doing a game in Waco on a Saturday. I'm driving back to Dallas, my home at the time, and I'm listening to him and Bob Davis call a game on a Saturday afternoon. And I know I'm flying up to do a big Monday, right? So I listen to the game, and I'm thinking, damn, they love the Jayhawks. I come up here, and I see them at courtside before the game. I said, I listened to you guys on the radio. You guys are homers. And Bob Davis said, so? And you're KU guys.
That's right.
No, but where were we?
We're just talking about the land.
Yeah, new normal. So we're talking about
it is a new normal, and everybody, and Kansas will adjust. Everybody will adjust, because if you don't adjust, you're going to be left behind.
Right.
And the reality is now, but the sad part is, the freshman that comes in and grows into a player, which there've been so many here. Does that kid
There's no more patience? There's no patience.
I don't know that the patience is going to be there.
And how much of this do you think led to some of the greatest coaches in our game?
Could be.
And it probably wasn't the only factor, but you look at Mike Krzyzewski, Roy Williams, and Jay Wright.
Yeah.
That, I get it. It was around the time Jay might be.
I think Jay was ready. He was ready because he was 60. He's a good friend.
Right.
My son worked for him. Jay had to, you know what, Jay, I appreciate Jay because he said, I just won 2 titles. I got grown kids. I got a great life. I'm going to do TV. I'm going to enjoy my life. And the other guys, God bless them, Coach Boeheim and Coach K, they tried to stay as long as they could. Right. And they did an amazing job. They're Hall of Fame coaches. But Jay, I appreciate Jay because, I walked away from coaching at 43, and I could have gone back many times. And then after a while, people figure out you're not going back, so they stop calling you. But my reaction was, and the good Lord had a lot to do with this now, that he said, don't mess with Happy. I'm telling you, I heard that in my head. Like, don't mess with Happy. Do you have a great job? Yes, I do. I get to call games on ESPN. I work for 4 months. I get to hang out with my kids in the spring and summer. And I told you they're both coaching. And I think Jay said, I like my life now that I don't have to have the stress.
He did the podcast with Wayne and I last year, and when we asked him, do you miss coaching? And he goes, no.
I know.
He couldn't have said no faster.
He texted me on Saturday. It's his first time in Allen Fieldhouse. Not Allen, Ames, Hilton.
Yeah.
And he absolutely loved it. Yeah. And he loved it. He goes, man, this league is amazing. Like, can't believe how hard-nosed everybody is. And I said, hey, welcome to my world the last 20 years.
Well, last thing about the league, it's been really refreshing and a little surprising with the 4 teams that came in this year and what they've added. Yeah. And I think we knew what we were getting with UCF. Yeah. There were question marks around BYU, but their fan base and the way they play. Yeah. Wes Miller's doing a great job, has some really good talent up there. And, of course, Johnny Dawkins and UCF has surprised some people. With the 4 we have coming in.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Which you mentioned old Big 8. I'm elated Colorado's back.
I live in Colorado Springs now. I can drive up the road.
I'm elated Colorado's back.
And by the way, they got a pretty good coach.
Yeah. Tad Boyle.
33 here.
That's
Tad
right.
Boyle.
That's right. Yeah. So who coming in are you most excited about?
All of them, because first of all, like it's underrated, but BYU Utah rivalry again, unbelievable. That's KUK State.
Okay.
That's unbelievable. That's KUK State.
That'll be a fun game to call.
That's going to be fun. Colorado certainly because of the tradition. In fact, that Tad's got a really good team. Tad's done an amazing job.
Maybe the number 1 pick.
They might have the number 1 pick. Yeah, that young man Williams, his brother's in the league with Oklahoma City, Arizona State. You guys know about Arizona State because they've got a couple wins over the Jayhawks.
Back to back.
The Kale Center in Tucson is one of the better places in the country.
Kansas, Arizona is going to be monster. So to answer your question, even though Texas is leaving, OU's leaving, this basketball league is getting better and better. Hard to believe given how good the league's been, but I think the league's going to get better. There's great coaches, and I'm telling you from a recruiting standpoint, like I've heard this. Who was it that – one of the transfers. Oh, Joe Toussaint from Texas Tech. He's been in the Big Ten and he came to the Big 12. I said, is there a difference? Be honest. He goes, Coach, Big Ten is good, but every night in this league, it's unbelievable. And I think most of the guys that transfer into the league feel that way.
Yeah, Hunter said
that. And so I think that this well,
you said it earlier that this last decade of college basketball has been the Big 12. And you shorten that up a little bit. You look at Tech.
Yeah.
Going to overtime in the national championship game, a jump shot away from beating Virginia.
Could have won it. Baylor won it.
And then COVID hits in 20. We were
Kansas
probably the best.
Kansas won it in 20.
Kansas won it in 20.
We were the best team.
Put that banner up there, unofficial national champ.
We were the best team, but Baylor was right there.
2 number 1 seeds.
And then they win it in 21, we 22, and then Connecticut last year. But
well, hold it. By the way, in the last 5 years, 5 of the 10 teams in the league went to the Elite 8.
Right.
Because K-State
last year.
K-State went to the Elite 8, and did I mention? So there was a 5th one because I know there's 5, but 5 out of 10 have been in the Elite 8 since 2019.
Tech, K-State, Baylor, Kansas, and
West Virginia. Let's see, we got
Oklahoma
State, TCU, Texas.
There you go.
Last year.
Not last year,
wasn't it? Yeah, right. Yeah.
No, they lost in the Elite 8.
Okay, well they were in the Elite 8 recently.
Did you say Elite 8 or Final Four?
Elite 8.
You're correct. My bad. Yes. They were right there. And that led to
5 schools of the 10 in the Elite 8 since 2019.
It's crazy. It's a monster.
And it's going to get better.
It's a monster. It's a gauntlet. We talk about it all the time. Yep. No double round robin, but it's almost more difficult with the unbalanced schedule, especially if we're going to be homers. It's harder for us than others. It's just timing. I don't think anyone had anything to do. No one they didn't have anything to do with it, but
you don't get every team back in your building now.
No, we play in Lubbock in a couple weeks, and we don't get them here. And right now, what are they? 4-1, 5-1.
Well coached, tough team.
A new coach coming in. McCaslin's done
and by the way, they'll be celebrating that big Monday because their own Texas Tech quarterback will have won another Super Bowl.
We're going to be on I was just talking to.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
I was just talking to Bill.
But he'll be there. He'll be there going like this to the.
I don't know if he'll be there.
I don't know if he'll
Monday.
be there. He may.
He'll be at Disney World, hopefully.
He might be just trying to wake up and celebrating.
But yeah, we fly to Lubbock on Super Bowl Sunday. I was just talking to Bill about it. I was like, hey, let's make sure that our plane leaves in time to get there so we can get settled. And it might be hard to find a good spot there because those people in Lubbock will be going nuts.
But I got connections.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you about that.
I got connections.
Hey,
you want to go to 23rd Street Brewery? Let me know.
Las Brisas down there?
No, I'm talking about here.
That's your spot.
Yeah, Matt's place. Well, I'll get you.
He's just trying to get.
I can get you in there.
He's just trying to. He's just trying to get a free meal.
Bill Self pasta.
The Bill Self pasta.
Yeah, no, it's classic.
I got to work. When I have the Bill Self pasta, I got to work out twice.
Do you have a menu item? I have a drink.
Of course.
It doesn't really. It's called the Greg Gurley Manhattan. It doesn't. There's no flow to it.
I think we're descending into.
I think we're.
I think we should stop now.
We appreciate you. We love it when you're here, and I know you do such a great job. It's going to be a fun night tonight. We're going to have you 2 days. You going to even go home, or you just?
I'm going to go home. I'm going to do this. I sometimes will stay for the week. But
Tuesday to Saturday is a little much.
I'm going to get home tomorrow, leave on Friday, come back, hang out with my wife.
Kansas has to, a rebound game. Bill's record after a loss is crazy. I don't know the exact numbers, but it's like 120.
I got to ask Tyson.
It's a crazy number that he's only had back-to-back losses 18 times in 21 years. All the records out there are crazy. But we got an opportunity tonight to get healthy again against Oklahoma State, who, even though we beat them badly on the road, still a really good team that has athletes. They're a big-time threat. And then Houston on Saturday, which one of the best teams in the country, be their first visit in the new Big 12 to Allen Fieldhouse. So our crowd will be ready to go. You'll be on the mic. Nothing greater than a Saturday afternoon in Allen Fieldhouse, that sun shining in on that southwest corner. Hopefully providing some glare to Jamal Shed and the rest of his guys. But hey, we
take more than glare to stop that dude.
We love it that you stopped by. The Jayhawker Podcast brought to you by the University of Kansas Health System, Xfinity, and Black & Veatch. I am Greg Gurley along with Wayne Simeon and the voice, governor, mayor of the Big 12, Fran Fraschilla. Rock chalk.